Sopori, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and dear friends. At the outset, I wish to extend my profound gratitude to you all for having come, spend your precious time with us, to listen to our agonies, to listen to our pain. And I feel privileged and honored by your distinguished presence here. Kashmiri Hindu issue is not new. It's as old as 32 years now. A new generation of Kashmiri Pandits has been born and brought up outside Kashmir with no emotional connect with their places of origin. That is the most unfortunate part of the story. But then we have to live with it. As Professor Munshi very rightly said, that connectivity is my main concern to be here. Well, I don't believe in getting connected, but I believe in remaining connected. So to remain connected, my journey started from Chandigarh. Then we had a community meet at YMCA. Now I'm here in Kolkata to meet my fellow countrymen. Why did I choose Calcutta? There's a reason. Because Calcutta is an intellectual capital of India. Prior to 47, it used to be capital of India. What Bengal has given to the country, I think no state has given. Bengal has given us Rabindranath Tagore. Bengal has given us an intellectual luminary in the form of Satyajit Ray. Bengal has given us Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. And if you people allow me to quote one Justice S.N. Pandit, who was the first Chief Justice of Bengal, and I have been told that there is a hospital by the name SN Hospital being run on his name here. So, a big hospital, yes, of course. There's an endless list. Prior to coming to this place, I was in a press conference. One of the gentlemen asked me, "We have heard you and we are impressed by you. Tell me, what do you expect us to do? What do you want Bengal and what do you want Bengali people to do for you?" I said, yes, it's a very important question. What do I expect from Bengal and what do I expect from the intelligentsia of Bengal is that they have to play a role in reversing our genocide. Please be remembered and please get reminded that National Human Rights Commission in 1994 in its judgment declared that Kashmiri Pandits, whatever has happened to Kashmiri Pandits, it is akin to genocide. When they say it is akin to genocide, we want the powers that be to acknowledge that it is a genocide indeed. Genocide does not mean that you have one-time killings. Genocide means it's a process. Process while intent defines the killing, and intent obviously is bad. Intent is not all that what appears to all of us. Intent is that a community numbering about 4 to 5 lakhs was thrown out, livestock and barrel. And each attempt to return to the valley of Kashmir has been met with killings, killings and killings. During the intervening night of 1990, 19th January 1990 and 20th January, the entire Kashmiri Pandit community was thrown out of the valley. In fact, Kashmir was denuded of its minorities. And there were some leftover Kashmiri Hindu families there. And a recurrent massacre at regular basis did take place during a decade of 1990 to 2000. Let me quote. You had Sangrampura massacre. You had Nadimar massacre. You had Vadhama massacre. You had Telwani massacre. You had Kaluchak massacre in Jammu. You had Chitti Singh Pora where a large number of Sikhs were killed. and it's known to the world. Why? Why did this happen? Because there is a perpetual process, there's a perpetual uninterrupted continuity in Islamizing Kashmir. That's what happened. That's what's happening. Why? Because India, in its constitution, does not accept any religion, does not accept any caste, but it only recognizes citizen as the fundamental unit of its constitution. So all the privileges of the Constitution of India go to a citizen of India, no matter who you are, no matter what you are. So that means the only religion India has is secularism. So it is not just denuding Kashmir of its minorities, it is killing the secular, democratic, plural identity of Kashmir, and that is why I am here. If we are living in a secular, democratic polity of the country, why should Kashmir be outside this domain? Why should Kashmir have its minorities? Why should Kashmir continue to face something which is unacceptable to this enlightened world? We are living in an age of enlightenment. We are not living in a stone age where barbarism rules the roost. We, in this age of enlightenment, cannot expect Kashmir to be without Hindus. I'm not talking in terms of majority-minority. I'm not talking in terms of Hindu-Muslim. I'm talking in terms of humanity. I'm talking in terms of human civilization. There's an attempt to erase the socio-psychological Kashmiri Hindus from the socio-psychological memory of Kashmir. Not only physical elimination, but there is a cultural elimination too going at a rapid pace. For example, a district known as Anantnag is being known as Islamabad. Hari Parbat is being known by a different name. It's called Kohimaran. Shankaracharya, which doesn't belong to any community, any religion in the valley of Kashmir. It belongs to Kashmir. Whenever any visitor visits Kashmir, he first of all sees that majestic Shankaracharya. It is being renamed as Takht-e-Sulaiman. You can call it as Takht-e-Sulaiman. Therefore, gentlemen, it's a situation which all of us have to contest together as one. It's a situation which has to be reversed. Now, how do we reverse that situation? It's a $1 million question for all of us. There has to be a reversal of genocide in accordance with the principles laid down by United Nations, in accordance with the principles laid down by human civilization. And who is going to do it? We know that the powers that be, they are there because of votes. It's a vote bank politics. After all, nobody can deny the hard fact. Anybody votes, he gets elected. Anybody doesn't vote, he loses the election. And the most unfortunate part of this whole story is that Kashmiri Hindus have no voting power. We are a politically orphaned community. We have no political constituency of our own. We have no political representative to represent us, either in parliament or in legislature or in any mainstream politics of the country. So who is going to decide our fate? It is the people of this country. It is the right-thinking people of this country who are going to reverse this injustice, who are going to give us the justice. And what does that justice mean? Just means human touch policy for Kashmiri Hindus. And what does that human touch policy mean? Human touch policy means that the threat perception they are facing day in and day out, that is to be removed. The insecurity to which they have been pushed into, that has to be addressed. Now remember, the entire community is out of Kashmir for all these 32 years. We have some residual Kashmiri Hindus residing there. Few months back, everybody must have heard, it was a big national debate, a big national news when Mr. Emil Bindru was killed. He was a chemist, running his chemist shop in Amira Kadam, Lal Chowk. And he was killed in broad daylight. Why? What was his crime? He was the man who used to provide medicines to the people, medicines to the needy. Not only that, during COVID times, when the medicines were in scarcity, medicines were not available, he would ensure that the people get medicines. He was shot dead. Why? What was his fault? The fault was that he was a Kashmiri Hindu. One. And it was a message that Kashmiri Hindus are unwelcome here. Because those days, there was a lot of talk going on that whether Kashmiri Hindus should be brought back, so on and so forth. So to kill the desire of Kashmiri Hindus returning back to the valley of Kashmir, these incidents keep on happening at a regular pace. Not only that, non-Kashmiri Hindus are also being killed. For example, a Golgappa seller from Bihar, he was killed there. What was his fault? He was just earning his bread and butter. He was the sole bread earner for his family. Apart from him getting killed, they killed a bread earner of their family. This time, civil society of India and civil society institutions are very powerful. Governments are run on public opinions, especially in India, especially in the United States of America. But we need to arouse. We need to come out of our slumber. Civil society institutions rise above this Hindu-Muslim divide and talk about human civilization, talk about humanity. And it is this human civilization which is at the receiving end. We need to contest it with all the force that is at our command. Because what has happened today, 32 years back to Dr. Rana, may happen to somebody else now, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. Now, it is the intent. We don't have to kill people like you have killed this. No, we have to kill his intent. We have to kill that basic ideology because he is driven by an ideology. And that ideology of radicalization, that ideology of fundamentalism needs to be challenged, needs to be contested. Let me quote, Iran is a Muslim country, and you have good number of Armenians who are Christians, they are living in Iran. They caught a reservation in Iranian parliament. They have been included in other forums where Iranian people listen to them, because Iran is these days in much demand, in much conversation, both at the national and at the international level. When this can happen in Iran, why can't it happen in Kashmir? Why can't it happen to Kashmiri Hindus? We are not outsiders. We are aborigines. We got a 5,000 years of history behind us, both oral and written. So, when we say justice for Kashmiri Hindus, I talk of political empowerment. You need to politically empower this Dalit community. Let me tell you one more thing. A year back, I came to know that the Delimitation Commission has been established for J&K, and Justice Ranjana Desai has been made as the chairperson of the Delimitation Commission. I approached her along with my team, and she was gracious enough in giving us an audience. We were there, and she heard us for 1.5 hours. You see, there is a constituency which doesn't have any territory, which has only 3,200 voters. I've forgotten the name of the constituency, probably it's in Sikkim. They are only Buddhist monks, only they can vote, only they can get elected. It doesn't have any geography. They are spread throughout the length and breadth of the state. There are only registered 3,200 voters for that. So this is exactly what I quoted to her. I said, you need to think out of the box. You need to create a constituency in exile for Kashmiri Hindus. Because we don't have any physical constituency at the moment. And there was party agreement, and she was very right. She said, we don't have a constitutional mandate. If at all you have to say, you go to the parliament, you talk to the government about it. Whatever mandate we have been given, we will go according to that. And anyway, we will try to help you. Then again we were invited on 7th of July 2021 to Srinagar. I went to them along with my delegation and talked about the same thing. They said the same thing, and I was pleasantly surprised to find a paper cutting in Economic Times that Delimitation Commission has suggested to the government to give 2 to 3 seats to Kashmiri Hindus, not by virtue of their elections, but by co-opting them and by taking them to the elected bodies other than electoral route, because we cannot elect anybody. If I go out to contest for a vote, I will get only 1 vote, that is of Dr. Raina. I will not get any.
I will vote for you.
Okay, thank you. So nice of you. So that is the situation. So here, 2-3 things are very important, because I know we have lot many intellectuals. I'm not going to speak only, I got to listen, because when I say I have come here on an awareness campaign, one, and I want civil society and civil society institutions to rise above and to play their role as citizens of the country, because you need to reverse this trend. You need to give justice to this bleak community, because what has happened to this community 32 years back may happen to some other community afterwards, maybe today, tomorrow, and the day after. Because if you continue the radicalization of the thought, if you continue to have fundamentalization of the thought, if you continue to have an ideological conflicts here and there, then what is going to happen is going to happen what happened to Kashmiri Pandits. Therefore, my first and humble request to you is that we must ask for healing touch policy for Kashmiri Pandits, which should include to bring perpetrators of genocide to the book, which should include a concrete rehabilitation policy for Kashmiri Hindus, 2. And number 3, address threat perception and remove insecurity from the non-Muslim minorities of Kashmir. Not only that, create a better ecosystem for them to return. So with these few words, I thank you very much for giving me a patient audience. Over to Munshi.
Thank you very much. Thank you indeed. You have heard the President speak of how not just he, but all India Kashmiri Samaj looks at the situation. This was necessary because we thought you need to know what the thinking is from the official side. Having done that, I would like to invite 4 persons from among you in the sequence in which I am